Hi, folks. Welcome to Ferrum Football First and 10. I'm your host, Gary Holden. With me, of course, today is head coach Cleive Adams. Cleive, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me here today. I'm looking forward to sitting down and discussing where we're at.
Yep. Well, we're talking about football in November, and it's got to be a good feeling knowing that you got a 6-2 record coming into the ninth game of the year. You're 3-2 in the ODAC and everything, and you're playing a team. WNL this coming weekend. We're going to talk about that later. That's kind of controls their own destiny at 4-0 in the league. The only team that's undefeated in the league so far, right?
That's right. It's exciting for us as a program, staff, players, support staff, everyone, to have some significant football going on this time of the year is really refreshing, and we're up for the challenge this week.
Good, go. Well, let's get to last week first. You played Guilford at home on Saturday, October 30th, Senior Day. You honored a couple guys for the game, not a couple, a dozen and a half guys and everything. Talk a little bit about, going into a Senior Day game. It's a little bit different. There's a lot of emotions going on. It's different than just any other game.
Yeah, that's always special. And coming off of a tough letdown the week before down there in Farmville, we had to reshuffle the deck and kind of re-energize ourselves going into Senior Day, and it always helps to have the opportunity to come back home to play, opportunity to honor our seniors in that capacity. But this year was a little bit different in that our expectations were riding high, and we were on a different type of trajectory in terms of where we wanted to be as a football program, and we had to reestablish some things going into that week, and the whole theme was we're going to play for our seniors. And we have 17 young men that we recognized Saturday afternoon, and it was an emotional day. And I talked to the guys all week about handling emotion going into a Senior Day. Not only the seniors, but also the coaching staff and the rest of the team, just understanding the magnitude of that day and being able to compartmentalize our emotions going into that particular game. I've seen it happen a couple different ways. We come out hot, and we've come out very flat because the emotions were high pregame, and we were unable to get things together to focus on football. But I felt like we handled it pretty well this week.
And it's a difference, too, because sometimes your seniors are very emotional. They got a lot of things going on. This is my last time I'm going to play. I'm going to suit up at this stadium right here. But then you've also got the underclassmen who really want to do something for their seniors. They want to send them out with a win. And sometimes that pressure on themselves, a self-inflicted wound type of thing, can hurt them and everything. So I felt like overall you guys really played well and everything. Guilford set the tone of the game right away. They run the kickoff back 70-something yards, and all of a sudden they're sitting on our 17-yard line, first play of the game. 6 plays later, they're in the end zone. What happens there when what do you got to do there when something like that happens?
Well, again, that's a phase of the game that we've been working very hard at, the kickoff coverage, and we felt pretty good going into this week about our coverage ability, and kicked the ball off. We hit our landmark perfectly, and we just had a couple guys out of position. And I told the guys all week about Guilford not to underestimate these guys. They have a load of talent and athletes out there, and he caught a seam, and here we are. But again, the guys didn't quit. We ran him down and kept him out of the end zone. But again, 6 plays later, they get in. But anytime you give a team a short field at the beginning of a football game, they were coming off an open week, so they've been preparing their script for their first drive, and then you have a short field.
And they have a little bit of time for their kids to recover from injuries. Yep.
That's right. So it's hard to keep a team out of the end zone when they've been practicing for 2 weeks, and then they have under 20 yards to go. But we bounce back, and we're able to answer.
Yep, a couple touchdowns right away. Boom, boom, boom. Kai Bowers punches it in from 11 yards out from a pass from Titus Jones. Then a 54-yard run by Josh Ellaby. He's been playing very well. Had his second straight 100-yard game. We haven't had that happen in a while now, so that was big for you. Then you had Joe Burris back in the lineup, and he scored a 4-yard touchdown. So all of a sudden we're back out in front 21-7, starting to feel a little more comfortable.
Well, I think just looking back, and I've mentioned this before, we've made a handful of adjustments on offense, particularly on the offensive line. And when we made those adjustments 2 weeks ago, we started to see the fruits of that adjustment in practice. And then it started to really manifest itself in the last couple of weeks. And when Guilford scored, there was no panic on our sideline. It was disappointment. We were upset that we allowed that to happen, but it wasn't any panic offensively or defensively about what was going to happen next or what needed to happen next. And Titus has been playing extremely well this year, And with the adjustment up front, we've been able to generate a run game. Like you mentioned, we've had 2 100-yard rushers back to back. And that opens up our offense tremendously for not only Titus, but Coach Summers to be able to move some things around. And I think when you look at the football game, you mentioned earlier, the ball is distributed to Kai Bowers. Ellaby breaks a long run. Joe Burris came back from injury. We've been without him for about 4 or 5 weeks, maybe even longer. And he's a dynamic, explosive player that you hand the ball to and anything can happen. So that was really cool to watch, really fun.
Well, it seemed to me, I was up in the press box doing stats and everything, and it just seemed to me like after the touchdown, you're right, there wasn't a sense of panic. It was all business. It was, okay, we just got to do this. We come back, we score the touchdown, okay, then we come back again, play some good defense and everything, get the ball back, come down. The big run by Ellaby, 54 yards, that's going to take the wind out of their sails and everything. And then with Joe Burris back in the lineup and everything, all of a sudden you're up 21-7. So it's like, okay, there's a little, bit of comfort level. They come back here and we score a touchdown and everything, and they come back and they score that touchdown at the end of the second quarter, like literally no time. We score with 1:20 left to go, so we're thinking, okay, we're in pretty good shape here, taking a nice lead and everything, and all of a sudden they come back and run the ball down 61 yards in 7 plays and score a touchdown literally with no time left. What is that? Tell me how that shapes your conversation at halftime, if you're okay with talking about that.
Well, I don't think many people wanted to be in the locker room after we give up a score just before halftime, understanding what type of tone we set going into that just prior to that touchdown by scoring, and then they answered. A lot of people, and you don't make an excuse, but most people don't understand. We had three freshmen in the secondary because of injury in this football game, and unfortunately, when that happens, you're subject to some mistakes, and a defensive lineman and a linebacker can make a subtle mistake up front, and the crowd don't realize it. Yeah. But if a mistake's made on the back end in the secondary, everyone in the stadium knows about it. And that was a series of things that happened in that drive that if we make one play that we're supposed to make in that drive, they don't score before halftime. So we go in, and I'm pretty fired up about where we are because the offense is answering. We're doing everything we're supposed to do offensively, and then we're just making silly mistakes on defense. And we sat down and we made some adjustments, and with the defensive staff, with myself, Coach McCray, Coach Ellis, we put our heads together and made some adjustments to take some pressure off some of those younger guys in terms of what they were doing to us schematically. And again, it still wasn't a degree of panic. It was just frustration that we've allowed them to score points on mistakes and not because of the things that they were doing really, really well. So coming out of halftime, we knew what we had to do defensively to kind of give ourselves an opportunity to let the offense keep rolling. There was nothing to talk about offensively at halftime. Sure. I looked at Luke, I looked at Coach Shaw and those guys, and I said, you guys are good to go. Defensively, we went in the corner and tried to put our heads together to give our guys a chance and take some pressure off of them, and I think it helped us moving forward.
I've always appreciated the fact that when you see a team struggling on one side of the ball in the first half, I've always appreciated the ability for coaches to go in the locker room, make the adjustments, and then they come out in the second half, and if we weren't running the ball well, all of a sudden we're ramming the ball down people's throat and everything. If we weren't playing good defense, all of a sudden we're sticking people, we're knocking down passes and everything, and really making it difficult for the opposing team's offense. I've always appreciated that about coaching, and I always wondered how the coaches give their halftime speeches. I coached a couple sports where you really didn't have halftime, like tennis and wrestling. You had to pretty much, it was all right there as it was going on, and that was it.
Well, I think the thing you focus on at halftime is not so much browbeating. Now there's moments of disappointment in the first half when things are not going your way, and you want to point out those situations and make sure that not only the coaching staff, the players as well are accountable to those things that just can't happen, those non-negotiable things that just can't happen. And then it's water under the bridge. Let's figure out what we have to do to get this thing fixed and go out and answer in the second half. And I think that's been the theme the entire season for us. And being that we've installed a new defense, we have new leadership on defense, we have some young players in some places. That's kind of been the theme for us all year long, is coming in at halftime and reshuffling the deck and creating a situation in a chess match to give us a chance.
Sure. Well, Guilford comes back. They score to open the third quarter and everything, and all of a sudden we got ourselves a 6-point game. We're back into a ball game and everything. Ferrum comes down and touchdown passes from Jones to Daniel Lamb, Tamade Penn, and Nick Cook. And all of a sudden, we're well back out in front. We provide some separation and everything. And Guilford ends up with the one score at the end and everything. But overall, I felt like it was a pretty solid, convincing win. You put up 528 yards total offense. That's got to feel pretty refreshing. 272 yards rushing. I'm going to guess that's probably one of our bigger outputs for the season.
Oh, it is 100%, and that again goes back to the adjustments made up front, and then also just the talent of Josh Ellerby, and then bringing Joe Burris back out there, and then you can't shortchange Titus using his feet.
No,
he's pretty dynamic when he uses his feet when he creates out there.
I imagine defensive coordinators have fits as they're preparing for to play Ferrum and everything. W&L is probably preparing, going over the film of what Titus is doing, where he's rolling out, what his drop steps look like, and everything. I imagine it's gonna be tough for them. Let's talk a little bit about Titus. Single game touchdown passes, 6 in a single game. Season touchdown passes now 20. Season pass completions 142. Season passing yards 2,000. All 4 of those are new school records. Just incredible, game that he had, and really overall season he's been having.
That's right. He's grown so much between last year, the cut short season last year, coming into this year. Not only just on the field, but just who he is as a young man. And hey, he works very closely with Coach Shaw. Coach Shaw does an incredible job just managing him as a position coach and working everything between himself, Titus, and Coach Summers as the offensive coordinator. It's starting to really mesh, and it's really fun to watch. And I'm not a stats watcher, so I really don't understand until after the fact what happened. I just knew he was having a great game, and knew he was distributing the ball around to different people, which speaks to our talent on our offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, six touchdowns, 6 different receivers caught those touchdown passes. That's impressive.
It's very impressive, and it took some pressure off of Tamade. Tamade was a little dinged up last week, and we had to protect him a little bit. And when we have to do that, you're your star go-to guy in terms of targets, and you're able to find some other ways to distribute the ball. It speaks volumes in terms of what type of flexibility we have on our offense. But Titus is the catalyst to all that. He touches the ball first, he makes the decisions, and he's doing a really good job with it right now.
So with Tamade being a prime target for you and everything, I imagine that's got to help open some other guys up, because some defensive backs have got to double team Tamade, and I've seen it this year. So that's got to help with those other guys.
Oh yeah, it loosens up the opportunities for other receivers, running backs. We have a whole lot of ways to get the ball to a lot of people. Luke does a great job with that, and teams try to back us into a corner by double teaming Tamade, and when that happens, we have built into our system right now plenty of ways to get the ball to other people, and guys are answering the bell, and Titus is moving his eyes around. Early in the season, if I had a guy like Tamade, that's where I'm going. And he was stuck in that a little bit early on, and now the offense has expanded, and he understands how to distribute it and how to go through his reads and things of that nature. So we're excited about his ability to do that now and making that happen for us.
So Titus, the Old Dominion Athletic Conference felt his numbers were impressive. They named him Offensive Player of the Week. That's the 2nd time this year. What is that? What do those awards mean towards the end of the year, all conference? I mean, I know they don't directly say, okay, this guy won 3 or 4 of these, he's going to get all conference and everything. But how do you think that factors into coaches' minds?
Well, when that happens, that's recognition for your program. It's recognition for each individual young man who wins the award week in and week out, and it helps just get the name out there in terms of recognition. And I think moving forward, going into that portion of the season, when we look at postseason accolades and things of that nature, it's just going to speak volumes for my peers as coaches. We vote as a coaching staff, individual coaching staffs, on who we feel like are the top players in those particular positions, and I think that's going to give us an opportunity to put a handful of guys in front of the opposing teams and the coaching staffs, and maybe we get to nod and get some of those guys picked at the end of the year.
And that will happen after the 10th game. You'll have your voting on that and everything. So we'll be looking forward to that. Let's move forward ahead to this week. You've got Saturday, you got Washington and Lee, 1 p.m. kickoff in Lexington. The Ferrum is going to be having a tailgate there. Our alumni relations department is setting something up. There is no admission for the game, so fans, if you're in the area, Lexington, Virginia, and you want to come down and catch a great football game, you've got a 6-2 team versus a 7-1 team. You can't ask for a better college football game right there. So head on down to Lexington if you're interested in seeing that. Now we'll talk a little bit about W&L. Running back Josh Brees rushed for 650 yards, 10 touchdowns, but he's not their only offensive threat in running. They rushed for 2,600 yards this year, 325 yards per game. Got a number of guys that have scored a lot of touchdowns and everything. How do you prepare for something like that?
Very carefully. The theme for this week going into, I have a theme for every week of the season. We establish those before the season actually starts, and the theme for this week has been execution. Washington Lee is a team that has a triple option attack. It's not solely triple like the Naval Academy and Army, but it has enough triple components in it that you have to be very disciplined in what you do defensively. And Brees is actually the leading rusher, but the quarterback is dynamic in the rush game. They run a 3-back set, so any 3 or 4 guys could touch the ball at any particular time. So it's all about assignment football, kind of old school assignment football that you have to know what you're looking at, know where you're going, and be disciplined and not try to steal second base. And that's what we've been focusing on all week with our defensive scheme, is making sure that our guys understand how to carry their eyes, and when they trigger on their read key, make sure that you commit to it. So it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a ball control game. If you look at those guys, they're not on the higher side of ball control, but they're winning the time of possession in just about every game that they play. And then defensively, they play a no-nonsense, disciplined brand of defensive football as well. And we understand what they're doing. They're extremely well coached. They play extremely hard on both sides of the football. So what we're going to have to do going into the game is respect the football offensively, protect every possession, don't give the ball back unnecessarily. Defensively, make sure that we take care of business in terms of our execution and do each individual job. You have 11 guys on the field that have a job to do, and 11 guys on the field that have something they have to look at. If they try to look at something else at the same time, that's when big plays happen. So we're excited about the opportunity to be playing significant football in November is what we want. And our guys understand the magnitude of this football game and what it could do for our football program as we move forward into the latter parts of the season in terms of where we are here at Ferrum moving forward in the Old Dominion Conference. This is a big opportunity for the Black Hats, that's for sure.
Sure, absolutely. Anytime you get a chance to play a team that's 4-0 and controls its own destiny with trying to get into the NCAA playoffs and everything, it's just a great opportunity for you guys. And I'm excited to see how you guys are going to play on Saturday. So
yeah, we're excited for the trip. It's going to be small college football at its best up there in Lexington, Virginia, and I feel like that they're going to come with a large crowd. They have high expectations. We travel well. I just take my hat off to our parents and our support team out there, whether it be parents, loved ones, alumni body. We're very excited about going out there and putting a good product on the field.
I've heard some students that are planning on making the trip up 81 as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's huge.
Well, Cleive, I want to wish you good luck. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
I appreciate you.
Folks, that will do it for today. We will be back next week. We'll talk a little bit about the Washington League game. We'll wrap that up and everything, and then we'll look forward to the Crooked Road Classic with Emory and Henry in 2 weeks. That will be the last game of the regular season, and that will be the last Crooked Road Classic because that series is ending and everything. So, but Cleive, thanks again for being here. Thanks for our viewers for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next week.